We're starting tonight, Perek A. Shiur tonight is given L'Zichroi U'Le'ilu Nishmosoi from Horav Michoel Sorotzkin, father of unsere Teire, Reb Tzvanya, who was Nistalik, L'Beis Elom in Yerushalayim and Chalamoyed, Pesach, was a Greisa Talmid Chacham, a Talmid from Chevroni Yeshiva, a Talmid from Briski Yeshiva, a Talmid from Gatesedi Yeshiva, was a famous Rav in Liverpool, Greisa Talmid Chacham, Mechur of Tzidei Yisrael, and Hi Nishmosoi Tzruro B'Tzrei Rachai. We'll start today. Perek Hey Shiras Dvoiro. I really want to focus on one nekuda in Shiras Dvoiro. V'atoshar Dvoiro uvot ben Avinoyim b'yoyim ahu le'moyer. She goes through the Milchama. I would like to skip a few psukim, but get back to them. Bimei Shamgar ben Anos, Bimei Yoel, Chodlu Orchois, Verhulche Nesivois, Yelchu Orchois Akalkalis. Zogt Rashi, Hoyu Yereim, Rashi in Posuk Vav, Yisrael Lotzes Ledarko Mipnei Oivim, Vehoyu Oilchim Derech HaKolosoin, Bechovesh. He's talking about the time of Shamgar ben Anos, who was a shofet just for 1 year. Cholu prozim b'Yisrael ad shakamti dvoiro shakamti ein b'Yisrael. Then she goes through the psukim, and I would like to get to Posuk Yudalet. Mini Ephraim shorshom ba'amolek acharecho binyamin ba'amomecho. Mini mochir yodu mechoikekim umizvulun moishri b'shevet sefer. So Rashi learns Mini Ephraim in Ephraim yotza shoyresh Yeshua binun lidus ba'amolek vayachaloish oise lefi chorev acharecho yokum zogt Rashi mishevet binyamin shol ben kish sheigmerenu v'ya'am moisoi kegecholim oimemois. Okay. Mini mochir yodu mechoikekim sorim gdoilim shekovshi saimoira shekovshi shishim ir chevel argoiv shekovash yoir. The Radak brings down that she's not speaking about history, but she's speaking about the people who are coming from all the Shvatim to help out in the Milchama, to go with Baruch to fight against Israel. And she's saying, Ba'amomecho keneged Binyamin, ve'ato sheyodu le'milchama min mochir ha'gdoilim ve'achachomim, ve'af al pi shehoyo me'ever ha'yarden. This is very important, the kudo, to know further on in Sefer Shoftim. Mochir b'Menashe, Chotzi Shevet HaMenashe was sitting in Ever HaYarden. She said that they came from Ever HaYarden HaMizrachi to join the Milchama. Afal Pishoyam Ever HaYarden, Hisoyre v'Yischazek Lovel Milchama Azois. V'chen Mizvulun Yordu Afilu HaSoifrim VeHachachomim, Ein Tzorich Lo Yimar Shar Ha'om, U'moishchi B'Shevet Tzorich Pirush HaChachomim VeHaSoifrim Shevet Ha'eit. Everybody joined the war. She's going to be criticizing some of the Shvatim who didn't want to come to the Milchama, but everybody wanted to came to the Milchama. So she's talking about all the Shvatim who are joining Baruch ben Avinoyam to fight the Milchama against Sisera v'chulei. I want to focus tonight about a certain pasuk which has a shidud ma'arochos teva in this Milchama from Baruch ben Avinoyam and Dvorah against Sisera Yovin Melech Hatzor. Look at the next pasuk. V'sorai be'isocho. This is Pasuk Tesvov. Im dvoiro. Ve'isocho kein borok be'emek shulach beraglov. Socht Rashi. V'sorai be'isocho. Sorim shebe'isocho em roishes anedroes. Oiskim batoiro. Yoidei bino lo'itim. Hem tomid im dvoiro lelamed be'Yisrael chok u'mishpat. Okay. V'Yisocho ken borok, the next Rashi, skipping one Rashi. V'sh'ar ha'om shel Yisocho ken gam heim im borok l'cho asher yitzave. It means like this. She's taking Shevet Yisocho. Shevet Yisocho is a Shevet which is loy metoiro be'Yisrael. And she's saying like this. The Chachomim for Shevet Roishes Sanedroes Oiskim Batoiro, they are together with Dvoiro to be Melamed Yisrael Choyku Mishpat. Sh'arom came into the Milchama to fight physical Milchama. This is, by the way, this pasuk is very controversial pasuk about this whole sugya of Giyus Pnei Yeshivas. They are bringing rayas from the Tanakh that Yisocho came in. Yisocho was Chamoyer Gorem, who is this Shevet of Limud HaTorah, is coming, joining in the Milchama, and he's coming into the war. Now, Rashi brings down a pasuk. I'd like to focus on it, and we're going to have a lot of knowledge coming tonight out of this year. Rashi says, Oiskim batoiro yoidei bino lo'itim. What is the pasuk yoidei bino lo'itim? So take a look at your notes. Rashi quotes a pasuk in Sefer Divrei Hayomim. Sefer Divrei Hayomim steht, Umibnei Yisocho, the pasuk Rashi quotes, Yoide bina lo'itim lodas mayasi Yisrael, zog the Radak. Okay. Radak is basically parallel to Rashi in Parshas Vayechi, in the Broch of Yisocho. Rabbi Seinu Pirshu, sheyoidim le'aber shonim ve'likboya chodoshim. V'zeu she'omar lodas mayasi Yisrael, וזהו יוידה בינה לא איתם, כלומר לזמני האוילום, שיודעים לחשב בתקופת המזורס. ודוב וזוכר עניין זה בזה המוקרים, כי צורך המלך להסייעץ עמוהם, כי על פי המלך נעשה העיבור והקביעוס כדבר חזקיהו המלך. In other words, the bekim in the Seder HaIbur from Chodoshim were Shevet Yisocho. And the reason why it mentions Yoide Bina Le'itim, because the Melech has to be Messiahs with them in order to be Me'aber, the Chodoshim and the Shonim, because this was totally in the Melech. Azay steht in Rashi. The question is, what is he doing here in Milchemes Dvorim and Borok? Mentioning, Sh'arom went with Borok for the Milchem. Okay, so she's mentioning all the Shvatim that came in to fight the Milchemes Yisrael. But what he's doing over here, the Yoide Bina Le'itim, the Me'abrim Chodoshim V'Shonim V'Shevet Yisocho b'yachas to the Milchama that Barak is having with Yisrael. I'd like to suggest the following explanation, which is extremely, extremely sophisticated and non-conventional. Look at Bryce of the Seder Oilom. Just to tell you, we have a shtickle perspective in time. Yeshua Meis Bishnas Beis Alofim Tov Kuftes Zayin 25:16 Librias Oilom. As we know, Moshe Rabbeinu died in Tov Peiches. Yeshua lived 28 years later. So Yeshua is Tov Kuf Tez Zayin, which is 28 years, 12 years left till Tov Kuf, and to Zayin another 16, 28 years after Moshe Rabbeinu. Darei shofat es Yisrael chovches shon lachar ptichas Moshe Yoyse b'shnot Peiches. V'la'achar Yeshua, this is quoting from Bryce of the Seder Oilom Rabbah. Shofat es Yisrael osnil ben Kenaz arboim shono. Ve'acharav shofat Ehud ben Gera 62 shono. ומה שמבוא בפסוקים 80 shono koilo l'siochit shnois hashibud. Ve'acharav Shamgo ben Anos shono achas. So if I'm looking after the Moshe Yeshua, which happened in 25:16, I'm adding 40 years of Osnil ben Kenaz, 62 years of Ehud ben Gera, and 1 year of Shamgo ben Anos, 103 years. So if I'm going to take the years of Yeshua, when Yeshua died, 25:16, and I had 130 years, comes out, zog the Breise des Seder Oilom, v'dvoiro uborok itchilu lishpoit bishnas beis tof reish yutes. If you add 2516 plus 103 for the previous three shoftim, you're going to get to 2619. Okay? Esrim shono ad beis tof reish lametes till 2639. This is the Memshelas Dvoiro, if you want to know exactly what you're holding. By the way, Dvoiro is 26, if she's starting in 2619, Vilank is Inoch Moshe Rabbeinu. We're not talking about such Moshe Rabbeinu died in 2488, so she's 128 years after Moshe Rabbeinu. When we look at Dvoiro Kila, she was like, who knows how much. She is besach hakol in the Heintiketeg 130 Jahre nicht Kinteg, 130 years past Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the Dvoiro and Baruch started to rule, and they ruled for 20 years. There is a sefer called one of the Tchilas Harishonim before the Ibn Ezra, way before the Ramban, Rabach, Sefer Ha'ibur. Anybody who is dealing with the Rambam brings it, the Ramban brings him, the Ibn Ezra uses him Keseder. Rabbi Avrom ben Chia, who lived before the Tkufas Harishonim, was from the Rishonim. He wrote a sefer. He was a mathematician. He was a Rishon, and he wrote a sefer called Sefer Ha'ibur. All the cheshbonis, the astronomy from the Rambam Kiddush HaChodesh, and thereafter the Goyen is giboit on the sefer called Sefer Ha'ibur for the Rabach. If you ever look, if you learn a shtickle Rambam Kiddush HaChodesh, you know the Meforish in the Rambam Kiddush HaChodesh. Every second halacha brings down the Sefer Ha'ibur from the Rabach. Look at the Sefer Ha'ibur. Yes, over there, Seder Haluach Ha'orech. Okay? Likui Chamo Mole. A full solar eclipse. Hoyo Be'eretz Yisrael Bizman Tkufas HaShoftim Shesh Pe'omim. 6 times there was a full eclipse, solar eclipse, in the Zman HaShoftim of 320 years. So it was Be'erech once every 50 plus years. There used to be a partial eclipse, which happens much more often. But a full eclipse, a Likui Chamamole Zokter, was Vizman HaShoftim 6 times. Ubitchilas Tkufas HaShoftim, Psalmoy Yedikaloshen, Hoyo Beyoim Shleishim LeSeptember Yud Beis Tishrei Beis Alofim Tov Reish Yud Ches. Okay? Bish'ois HaTzoraim Bedroim Eretz Yisrael. ואחר כך שוב שנוסיים לאחר מכן ביום 14 February, חופטס שבט, תוף ריש למד בייס 2632, בשעויס הצהריים בצפון ארץ ישראל. Okay? Now, if you look before in the Breise the Seder Olam Rabbah, Dvoiro and Baruch started ruling 2619 till 2639. The Milchama of Dvoiro and Baruch with Sisra takes place be'emtza shnois shvitoso, which means on or about Tov Reish Lamed Beis. Sefer Ha'ibur says that in Choftes Shvat, Tov Reish Lamed Beis, Bish'ois HaTzoraim, in Tzfoin Eretz Yisrael, there was a full eclipse. Okay? As I zokte. Now, you look at the Psuki, B'mei Sham Goben Anos, B'mei Yoel Chodlu Orchos V'olchen Nesivis, Yelchu Orchos HaKalkolis, Chodlu Prozim B'Yisrael, Ad Shakamti Dvoira Zok Rashi, Chodlu Orchos HaYereim, Yisrael Lotzes Ladarko Mipnei Oivim, V'yoelchim Derech HaKalosim Be'echove. B'mei Sham Goben Anos, Uoyo Mishefti Yisrael K'moi She'izkir Lemalo, V'af Al Pi She'hoishia Es Yisrael, Lohoyo Katshua Agdoila Azois, Ki B'yom of Chodlu Orchos. She's downgrading the Shofet before her. She's saying even though there was a Yeshua al Yodoi, he made Grace and Nisim, but it wasn't the same thing, Yeshua Agdoilo, that I brought upon with my war. Okay? On the question, the Radak, and everybody's asking, why is she downgrading him? If you look in the Pesukim in Perek Gimel, it says, Vayaches Plishtim Sheish Moisis B'malmed Aboko, Vayoshe Gamuis Yisrael. Why is she chipping with him? He was 1 year Shofet, but he was able, B'malmed Aboko, to be Machnia, B'vasachas, 600 plishtim. So why is she downgrading Shamgor ben Anos? You know, look at the pasuk later, pasuk Chof. Take a look at the pasuk. Okay. It says before in pasuk it says, "Bo melochim nilchomu az nilchemu malchi knan b'ta'anach al mei megidoi betza kesef lo yilokchu min hashomayim nilchomu akoichovim im siloisom nilchamu im Sisra." What does it mean, min hashomayim? Star War. Min hashomayim nilchamu akoichovim. What does it mean? The koichovim, zokt Rashi, ve'af HaKadosh Baruch Hu shilach b'hem tzovo she'enam roitzim shum socho. You know? He says, Rashi learns, kipshutoi, they didn't take moment, the Radak says, betza kesef lo yilokochu, lo yilokim shumomim b'nei Yisrael she'noflim b'yedeim, min hashomayim nilchamu kol kach hoya nitzochen godol, כאילו מן השמיים נלחזו הכוכבים במסילייסו. Such a war, כאילו כי השם נלחם, the war, the stars are participating in the war. ובדרך דרש, זה nicht דרך דרש, נגמור עם פסוחים, anybody who just now learned, I have the פרק עם פסוחים, שתית כי הכוכבים חיממו איסו, והיו לובשים שריונים, ומרוב חמימוס היו נכנסים בנחל קישון להזכרר, the whole Nitzochen came, the wars, the Star War was the Koichovim warmed up. They were wearing a shield, a body shield, a Shiurei. And the stars made such heat, it was impossible for them to tolerate. They were having in there against the bullets, against the chitzim, against the destroyers, whatever they were shooting in the Milchama, they wore a certain shield, the Shiurei. And because the stars made it so impossibly hot, they jumped into Nachal Kishain. Was in the end of the winter. You see, the Milchama was Choftei Shvat. It's the end of the winter. They're jumping into freezing cold lake to Nachal Kishain in order to cool off from the warmth of the Koichavim which were Milchama. The Sefer Ha'ir would like to suggest a different pshat in the Psukim. He wants to say that there was, in essence, and the day of the Milchama was a day that there was a Likui Chama Mole, was a solar eclipse, a full solar eclipse. And therefore, there gets a tumult. You know, it says that the Goyim, when they see a Likui Chama Mole, they lose it. Today, they already know, they figure it out, they know beforehand, they have a Luach, they know. But all of a sudden, mitten, Boy HaShemesh Batzoraim, in the middle of the daytime, B'shois HaBoiker, and that day, there was a full Chamo, Likui Chamo. And due to that fact, min hashomayim nilchamu, as he the Rabach, means nicht keep pshetel. All the Rishonim, and the Gemara learn not like that. Kodesh Baruch Hu's Maimid, the Chamo, made it into a dark and middle of the day. They got so tumult, and from the tumult, from the Likui Chamo Mole, this is how they lost the war. And this was a gimmick for Baruch ben Avinoyam to win the war for having a pitch black Kirchoyim Hayoim Ke'oir Hayoim. Same thing he claims Zebin by Shamgor ben Anos. Shamgor ben Anos, he shows the date that he was a Shefet, and when he killed the Plishtim, the Malmud Abokor, he had a supernatural nace, was also one of those 6 eclipses that happened during the Kufa of the Sheftim. As I learned, the Bach in Sefer Ha'ibur. I'd like today, just in the short time that we have, to walk with you through a magnificent Rekeach. Look at the Rekeach. Okay? The Rekeach says like this. Okay? It sounds like a Chassidish Torah, but take a look. Asher bidvore ma'ariv harovim. Look at reference number 9. Kol aleph beis bebirkas ma'ariv. If you look at the beginning of Tfilas Ma'ariv, Asher bidvore ma'ariv harovim, until the end, all the oisias of aleph beis appear in the bracha of Ma'ariv harovim. Levad mites. The ois tes is not there. Check it out. The ois tes is missing in Birkas Ma'ariv. Zok the Rekeach. What's the pshat? Zok the Rekeach. Loima teisha pe'omim shino yoim v'laylo. 9 times HaKadosh Baruch Hu was machlif es azmanim. He made the middle of the day and night. במבול חמו ממערב למזרח, מצרים החשיך, יעקב קיבוע השמש בי שועס, יעקב שני ויזרח לו השמש בי שועס, ולמוישה בעמולק, ובמלחמס אויג, ולישוע בגיוון, ולאוחס במלוכים, ובישעיה למתחס ולחזקי ישום, בסנהדרין צדיק ווב, ולנקדימה בן יועז. There's 9 episodes where the Chamo, there was some kind of, I want to review with you quickly the 9 episodes that the Rekef is speaking about. Okay? He's not bringing one of the places here, because here he wasn't Meshani, he just made it dark in the middle of the day. But this is the 9 things, and let's go through them. Okay? First of all, I just want to tell you, B'mei HaMabul, before what he mentions, B'mei HaMabul, we find there was a shinui in Tnuas HaShemesh. Kadosh Baruch Hu told Noach that he's going to have a Mabul, Kimol Ha'aretz Chomos B'fneihem, and should be Choyze B'tshuva. They went to make the Tzonas out of Noach. He said, Vos Dreis Takopa Yin Ahera Herayin. He gave him an ultimatum, state in Medrash, that in the Gemara, Shiva Yomim, the Gemara, the Medrash brings it down. Anybody learns Sanhedrin Perek Chelik just now lately? Shivas Yomim Lifnei Shehevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Es HaMabul Shina Aleim Siddur Bereishis Sho Yochamo Yotzas Mimarov V'Shekaas B'Mizrach. By the way, when Noach had a machlekes, when Avram had a machlekes with Nimrod, he took him to Kiv Shanoeish, he says, you should be over Avodah Zarah. He says, do you ever have a God? Could you change around your Avodah Zarah? The Chama should be Zoireach B'Mayrov and Shekeah B'Mizrach. No, I'm not. If you show me that, I'll go to your Avodah Zarah. And here, B'Mei HaMabul, this was the Mei HaMabul, was right before the time of Noach. Kadosh Baruch Hu, there steht more in Sanhedrin in Perek Daf Kuf Ches. Kadosh Baruch Hu was Meshane, the Itim, 7 days before, in order they should do tshuva. Yomim Shiva, Rashi says, Yimei Evla Shel Mesushelach, but the Gemara says in those 7 days, the Chama was Oilo B'Mayrov, V'Shekas B'Mizrach, in order to give him a shtickle tumult, and they didn't do tshuva. Yankov Avinu, when he comes in, the Gemara in Chulin says, Yankov Avinu, Vayetz Yaakov Be'er Sheva Vayelech Haronu, Vayivgo B'Mokev Vayol Nishom Kibo HaShemesh. What's Kibo HaShemesh? Steht in the Gemara, Kibo HaShemesh, Mir HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted him, he went through Har Moriah, was Be'emtza Yoim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted him to be Cholim Balaylo, and to be Maftiach him the Avtochis that he was given in Har Moriah. So Kadosh Baruch Hu was Shoko Loi Hashemesh Koidem Zmano, so Rashi Kedei She'isake V'yishon Shom. He got the Machaze Balaylo. Kadosh Baruch Hu is bringing sun down in the middle of the day. Then when he has the machlekes, when he comes back from Choron and he meets Sorah Shel Esav, so he became a tzeileya, he became a handicap, and he needs the shemesh tzedakah u'marpa bichnofeyo in order to be merape him. So what does the Kadosh Baruch Hu do? He takes a Rashi says, ve'oiso shois shemiaro lishkoya bishviloi sheyotzo miber sheva miaro kan lizroach bishvilo. In other words, they took an account. They took a credit line, and the credit line was that the Shemesh was Shekeh before in order to give him the Avtochis. Now that he's, by the way, it's not so much, everybody wants to make the Cheshbon. The Teretz says, Neitzachamu is not enough. He needs a Kadosh Baruch Hu Moitzachamu Ben Atiko. So the whole process of becoming, it wasn't just became Neitzachamu Kedam Vesikim. From Alois to Neitz is not that much Shoyas. Over there it says Be'emtza Yoyim. So apparently he's talking about here the Choyim HaYoyim from Tzoraim, and this from Vayavik Ad Alois HaShachar, all of a sudden HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts Moitzicham in Atiko, it becomes 12 o'clock in the afternoon in order for the Shemesh to be Merapeh. Okay, let's go weiter. I would like to go through, by the way, in Pirkei Rabbi Elazar state he doesn't bring, in Mitzrayim, in Makas Choshech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Machshich. He's moinet is one of the things. He said HaKadosh Baruch Hu took the Chamo. Makas Choshech wasn't Stam Choshech. It was a cloud of darkness. In Pirkei Rabbi Elazar state HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shoka Ishkia Es HaChamo for the whole duration of Makas Choshech, which is also a Pella Otzum. Not everybody, not every Midrash learns like that. Some people learn, some Midrashim learn that it was Be'emes Yoim because the Kol Bnei Yisrael Yo'ebim which we say there was a Shemesh. Only thing is, over there was some kind of a cloud, like a darkness, like a azasot, like a liquid chamo, like an eclipse. What? It says Ichshich Esachamo, which means he made it into Laila. What does it mean, Ichshich Esachamo? Okay. Pashtes the Radal, if you look in the Pirkei Rabbanos, it learns that he made from a Yoim into a Laila. Okay. Weiter, in Milchemes Amalek, Vayodo vemuno aboy hashomesh, zokt Rashi shehoyu Amalekim mechashvim es hashoes be'astrologia. By the way, the word astrology appears in Rashi, be'astrologia, right? Be'eze shoem noitzchim, ve'hemid lo Moshe chamo ve'ir beves hashoes. Moshe was maimid the chamo, and he, in that time, he was maimid the chamo, and he was maimid hashoes. I'm asking, please, whoever is there, to put himself on mute. And okay, cool. I cannot use machshich es hashoes. In Milchemes Oig, Moshe Rabbeinu is koivish Oig. In Milchemes Oig steht that Hayoim hazeh achel tempachtecho v'iroscho pnei ha'amim tachas kol hashamayim asher yishmun shimacho v'rogzecho v'chilu miponecho. Right? I don't know what it is. V'chilu miponecho. Okay? Zogt Rashi tachas kol hashamayim Lomed she'omdo chama l'Moshe b'yoyim milchemes oig v'noida adovo tachas kol hashamayim. Moshe Rabbeinu has, it says when Yeshua says Shemesh b'givat doim, Moshe Rabbeinu was just like Yeshua. The same thing, Yeshua was Shemesh b'givat doim. Moshe Rabbeinu before him was someone who was able to be mashkit the chamo, and he was maimi the chamo be'isa milchomo. In order to be milchazek the emunah, they see v grace is Moshe Rabbeinu, that he is matzliach in the milchama to be maimid chamo at that time. And he made a reishim. The Torah says, asher yishmu shimacho v'rogzecho v'cholu mimeko. The amim are going to hear what kind of neis HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, v'yoru mimeko. Let's go further down. In the year 2488, by the way, I don't know if you know, steht in Chazal, when was the Milchama for Yeshua Shemesh Begiven Doim? Shemesh Begiven Doim, the Milchama was in Gimel Tammuz. Okay? Gimel Tammuz is a Goyse Tog, and by andere Menschen is a Goyse Tog. The Yortzeit from the Admon Melubabish Zechet Tzadik Levacha. Gimel Tammuz was the day of Yeshua bin Nun. He says, Shemesh begiven doim v'yarech be'emek hayol. It was, just to remind everybody from Sefer Yeshua, in the time of Kibush Haaretz, there is a milchama of Yeshua against Malchei Knan and Malchei Moiri, and Yeshua bin Nun comes in and he runs after them. The problem is, this milchama takes place on Friday afternoon. And Yeshua knew that in order to clinch the war, if he's going to run after them Shabbos, Friday afternoon, it's going to be Chilul Shabbos, and they won't be able to be mashmi the entire Malchei Moiri before Shabbos comes in. And then we spoke about the Radak, as Kashal Chutz, Milchemes Mitzvah, Kibush Haaretz, Derech Shabbos, what's the problem? But he did not want to do the Milchama to go into Shabbos. So he was mevakesh to be Mayrich B'yoim, and he puts his hands up to the Shamayim and he says, Shemesh begiven doim v'yoreach be'emek hayaloim. Look at the Medrash. Look at the Medrash. Omer the Gazach. Okay? Mishor she'ashemesh zeireach ad she'u shokeya en kilusoi v'shivcha shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu poisek mipiv. The Shemesh, when he runs the entire day, the entire time the Shemesh runs, is mekalas u'meshabeach LaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kasher bikesh Yeshua l'shasek esachom omar shemesh begiven doim. Lo yomar amoid elo doim Sheyidem ve'yishtek v'loi mashira v'lomo. This is a Tanchuma. I'm quoting a Tanchuma. ולמה? שכל זמן שהוא שר ומשבח את הקדוש ברוך הוא, יש בכך להלך. אך אם ידע משירוסו יעצר ולא יוכל להמשיך במסלולו. אומר לו השמש לישוע, listen to this conversation. ישוע, וכי יש קוטן אומר לגודל ממנו דוים, what are you telling me? He's telling him, stop singing. In a second, you stop singing and start your movement. He says, du bist a cotton, I'm a godel. What are you giving me instructions? Halo ani nivreisi b'yom haravi. Shemesh tells Yeshua, ich bin the me'oros was b'yom haravi. Ve'ato b'nei odom nivru b'yom hashishi, v'ken ani godel mincho. V'ketzed ato oimer li doim, omar le Yeshua, ben choyrin shu cotton v'yesh lo evet zoken, eino yochol loimar lo ishtoik. If a kleine ben choyrin, when he has an evet alte goy, he says he can't tell him, please be quiet. ולאברום אבינו הקנו הקדוש ברוך את השמיים ואת הארץ, שנאמר בורך אברום לקלל ינקון השמיים והארץ ולא יורד, אלא אפילו ישתחוו השמש לפני יוסף אבי. ישוע דוח האינקול von אפרים, אפרים הזו von יוסף. והנה השמש והיורח, ואחד הסוק רחוב ומשתחווים לי. So mein Seide, the Shemesh ומשתחווה, it's mein Seide, listen to this unique conversation between Yeshua and the Shemesh. אומר לו השמש, האם באמס גויזר התאולה שאשתוק אלוהים אשתוק מיום הקילוסוי ושפוחה של הקדוש ברוך הוא. אומר לישוע, דוים עתו ואני אוהים השירה בעבוך. So this nace is not a poster nace. Yeshua is having a major conversation, dialogue with the Shemesh. Shemesh doesn't want to stop. Yeshua tells him, you keep quiet. And the second you keep quiet, you stop going. If you stop going, you're going to be at 36. The machlekes ligmoin of Idizor, how much longer did it stretch? One Mandoma says extra 12, extra 24, extra 36 hours. That was the Shemesh begiven doim. Look at the further medrash in Pikad Rabbi Lozo. Miyom shenivru shamayim v'oretz, hashemesh v'yorech v'kochovim, v'kol hamazor osoi lo'olim lo'oiras oretz v'en mishanim minhogam. Ad shebo Yeshua v'osa mlchamta shel Yisrael v'yigerev Shabbos, v'ro betzorosin shel Yisrael shel yichalalu es ha-Shabbos. Ma'osa Yeshua poshat es yodov le'oir hashemesh le'oir ha'erech v'yiskir alem shem ha'mefoirish ve'omad kol echod b'mkoim ha'shleishim v'shesh shoes v'ro kol malchi oretz v'tomo shelohoyo kadover hazeh miyoyim sheniver oilo. So here's again Shidud Maruchas Lev. I want to focus on two other nekudas where it says two stories, moyedike stories about Atziras Hashemesh. The father of Chizkiyahu HaMelech was called Ochos. Chizkiyahu was a son of Ochos HaRosha. In order not to have a hesped, Chizkiyahu wanted his father not to have a hesped because there was a Rosha. Steht in Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf Tzadik Vov, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Chizkiyahu wanted the sun to come down earlier. But nach zok man nicht gonna spade him, as given den minig. Only say a spade him in the day, not in the night. He didn't want him to invade his father. So Chizkiyahu made a nace that the Shemesh should be Shekeah earlier in order he shouldn't have to come to the daytime and he wouldn't have to say a hesped on his father Ochos HaRosh. As I state, Asuyas HaGemara in Sanhedrin Daf Tzadik Vov. Now, Chizkiyahu HaMelech, okay, by the way, just to give you the, Chizkiyahu was a son of Ochos, who was a son of Yosem, who was the son of Uziyahu, who was Melech Yehuda. But Ochos Rosho, the Novi calls him a Rosho since he went as a Rosho. And Chizkiyahu fought to give an Atate, so he made the name of the sun coming down. Chizkiyahu gets sick. I don't know if you know the story. Chizkiyahu gets sick and he's going. Yeshano Anovi comes over to him and tells him, Chizkiyahu, Kadosh Baruch Hu sent me to tell you you're going to die. Ki choyle ato, you're choyle and you're going to die. Oilech lomus. So, the Maaseh Chizkiyahu understood that he was choyte, and he came to do tshuva, and he was veispalo bebechi godel, Kadosh Baruch Hu, veispalo lakir. Anybody knows the Sugya Sagmor in Broches? He went to the kir, and he cried his heart out to make a tshuva and the chet that he does. Kadosh Baruch Hu sends Yeshayahu Hanovi, tells him, Shomati est filosecho, roisi est dimosechos, nicht nur anigen, it's a posuk. Shomati est filosecho, roisi est dimosechos, Yineni Yosef al Yomecho 15 shom. Telling you, even though you're goises, you know to Lomus, I'm going to add on to you 15 years. How do you know I'm not bluffing? V'zelecho ois. What's the ois? Ineni meishi v'tzel ha'mailos asher yordu b'malis ochos b'shemesh achironis 10 malis. V'teshev ha'shemesh 10 malos b'malos. You know, there's such a thing called orlogin. A Sha'on Shemesh, where if you go in Eretz Yisrael, there's one. Right. In Eretz Yisrael, there's one that used to be Kaveh the nets right across Machne Yehuda. There's a Sha'on Shemesh, was she given for the Zeiten, for Friedike Kufes, for the Kufe from as early as Shmuel Salant, they used to use the clock every day to be Kaveh the Zman. So it says like this: the Shemesh, the Shoin Shemesh, went back 10 hours. In other words, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm just telling you, I'm made the cheshbon. On or about 2 hours before Shkes Chama Ba'isa. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the thing went back up to 6 a.m. in the morning. Why? In order to show, to Weiss, he told him, what do you want? You want me to make the nace that should be 10 hours later or 10 hours earlier? He says he wants it to be 10 hours earlier. So he moved the clock 10 hours backwards in order Yishayahu Hanovi to prove Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda that Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to do the nace. It's called Tzel HaMailos Asher Ochos. The Mailos Ochos, this is the Madreges, it was steps. And the thing went on the steps, you see the Tzel of the Mailos as the sun goes down. And it went back up all the way, all the sun, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they not changed the clock, but the sun went back 10 hours. The nace became a Volz nace. Steht in Medrash, look at the Medrash. Melech Bavel, Sigvena Melech Bavel Ba'isat Kufa, his name was Broidach Baladan. Broidach Baladan, he used to wake up every morning very early. He used to have breakfast, he used to have his coffee, and then he went to sleep again. As they give it the Milig HaMaloch, he was Melech Bavel. He had a minig to go to sleep afterwards and to wake up in short cheese. Wake up early in the morning, he had a breakfast, he went back to sleep, and he woke up short cheese. That day, he went to sleep Kergele. He comes in the morning and he sees it's early in the morning. So he thought, the Avodim, let him sleep. How could it be early in the morning? I was already early in the morning, I went to sleep, and he thought, I slept, how do they call it in there? So, Begaleim Sumsum. He slept the whole 24 hours, and he's holding by the next day. He was very angry at the Avodim that they let him sleep so long. He wanted to kill them. They told him, no. Okay? He wants to know, they told him there was a person, Kadosh Baruch Hu does nisim for him. He says, you know what? I want to write him a letter. 10 hours back, it goes to him. He started writing a letter, and he wrote a letter. And he asked the Sefer to Shalom LaMelech Chizkiyahu, Shalom LaIr Yerushalayim, and Shalom LeElokim HaGodel. As I stated in Psukim. Came over there Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was later on became Melech Bavel, and he tells him, you know what? If you Kadosh Baruch Hu is so big, you don't make the Seder, you write the Shalom Aleichem, you write the Gerush Leivim, you first write Shalom LeElokim HaGodel, Shalom LeIr HaKodesh, and then Shalom LaMelech. You don't start the other way around. He says, stop the letter. They sent horses to catch them. Maise found. He says, what did you write? They said, anyhow, Gmor state Sholosh Psias Posa Nebuchadnezzar. He went 3 psias, and what was the psias? In order to give a cover to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Gmor says in that schar that he made the Sholosh Psias. There's schar for Nebuchadnezzar, he made the Sholosh Psias. Steht in Gemara that he was Zoiche 3 days to be Moshel Bekippah. Agoy macht 3 psias in order to what? To give cover that in the letter Sheshteit HaKadosh Baruch Hu before Yerushalayim and before the Melech Chizkiyahu. He got 3 generations. He was a Melech 45 years. His son Evil Meroidoch was a Melech 23 years. And Belshazzar, the last melech, we know him from Megillah Esther, Belshazzar, he was a melech for 2 years. Sach HaKoil was 70 years. So the Gemara, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, Im hoyo Nebuchadnezzar poiseya psia revis, lo yehoyo leYisrael tkumo. If he would walk one more step, Baruch Hashem, he stopped after 3 steps. Al tzvar hagoyot hakovet for the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. Anyhow, but Lemaisa, this is the story of the Shemesh who is holding back, and the last story is Nakdima Ben Gurion. It's Yadua, the Gemara in Tain is Daf Yotesamud Beis. Nakdima Ben Gurion was a Greisa Oisher. He was the Oisher from Yerushalayim, and he had a minig that the Oile Regolim he used to give to drinks, free drinks for the hundreds of thousands, a million, the Gemara state, one time there were 12 million Oile Regol. He gave him drinks, free drinks when they came to Yerushalayim. One year there was a drought, and they didn't have Maim Lishtet. He went and saw Hegmoin Echol that had a bunch of reservoirs. He told them, I'm taking 12 Mayonos Maim. I'm taking from you 12 Mayonos Maim, and I'm going to pay you back 12 Mayonos Maim when at Soif HaChoyref. He gave him a day. He says that day. And if not, I'm not giving you back, I'm going to give you 12 Kikrois Kesef. By the way, we once made the cheshbon, how much is the 12 Kikrois Kesef? We came through that it's on or about $24 million. The 12 Kikrois Kesef, if we translate it. I made the cheshbon last year. I don't know what it is right now, but it's about $24 million. So he promised him if he's not paying back. Came the Yom HaPiroen, Lo Yordu Gshomim, stating more. Take a look at the Gemara. Vaboiker shager li mayim oimoyes sheyesh li biyotcho. Sholach nakdimoin. Hadayin yesh li zman. I have some time. I'm sorry. I have till tonight. Kol hayom kulu sheliyu. V'ad ha'erev yirachem Hashem ulu yordu gshom. B'tzorayim sholach loi shager li mayim oimoyes sheyesh li biyotcho. Sholach nakdim. Hadayin yesh li shuz beyoyim. L'kras o erev sholach ha'egma shel li mayim. Ligleg Olav Oisa Hegmein. He says, listen, it's in the afternoon, an hour before Shkia, the whole winter is drought, and you are going to have 12 Mayonas Mayim, Poshe the Shomayim is going to come. State, as Nakdimoi Nichlol Beis HaMikdash, Nisate ve'omar v'tfilo, Omar Rebbeinu Shel Olam, Gol Yadua Lefonecho Shel Lichvoidi Asisi, V'lo Lichvoi B'Sabo Asisi, Lichvoidcho Asisi, Shiu Mayim Metzuim Lo'ol Regolim, Kadesh Shimcho Bo'ilomecho, ויראו שאויסר רצונך אינם מפסידים. נזקשך השמיים באובים, אז זה ישתית, ויורדו גשומים, עד שנסמלו מים 12 מיונס ויועסו. עד שיוצא אודם מבייס המרחץ, נקדימון יוצא בייס המקדש, שפוגו זה בזה אומר נקדימון, תן לי דמי מים יועסר שיש לך ביודים. You know what? The rain was extra, so please give me the change. I have more water in your reservoirs than you lent me at the time for illegal. Omar lo Egmen, Yudea ani shelo yirush, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Salom b'shvilcho, אלא שעדיין יש לי פסחי פה, שהויצי אסמו יסי, שכבר שוקו חמו, וגשומים ברשוסי יורדו בלילה. Latin Torah. He says, look, it's dark outside. The rain fell in. חוטפתי ודידי חוטפתי. It's mine. וכבר עובר זמן הפירוין. זה הדין תרא צבי נקדימה בן גוריון עד ההגמין. נכנס חוזה ונכנס נקדימה לבית המקדש, נסעתה ואומר בתפילה ריבונו שלו, הודיע שיש לי אהובים בעולמך. נספזרו האהובים וראו כולם שהחמו זה רחס. באויסו שאומר להודוין, אילו לזורכו חמו, או לפסחי פה, שהויצי מחויס מויסה. So we have Nakdima Ben Gurion, that's the last case that the Reker brings down. The reason why the Ois test is not mentioned, we went through all the 9 cases that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Mishana the Chamo, and the Chamo is going some form, some fashion or another. Either HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it dark, or HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Mayich the Yoim, or HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Mayich the Shkia. In all those events, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mishaded Ma'arocha Yisateva. By the way, I don't know if you know, but the Chachme Umes Oilom, Grace Astrologim, which are trying to deal with the stories, some of the stories they don't believe in, but some of the stories in the Bible they have to believe in, they're going to make natural explanation to the Shakar Chamo, But they can't understand. The only thing that they don't understand is Yeshua Shemesh Begivin them. They try to read. I once read like 30 pages, trying to give an astrological definition to why this and this happened. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Lemaise. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Machlifes Azmadim, Mesadres HaKrechovim. Every day the Chama goes out b'Mizrach, l'Shekeh, b'Mayrav. Bizman HaMabul. A few times HaKadosh Baruch Hu had it did it the other way around. Sometimes he prolonged the day, sometimes he shortened the day, sometimes he brought night before, sometimes he had the Shemesh. Here, in the case of our Sisa Baruch, according to the Rabach, in Seder HaIbu, the reason why they won the war is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it dark. Unlike what Chazal says, Al Pi Drush, or the Rashi learns al derech hapshat, the Eibishter fought for them. In Hashamayim nilchamu HaKrechovim, the Krechovim came, and Lemaisa the Shemesh was a full day eclipse in order for Klal Yisrael to win the war. Shaloi kederech hatera. Stop right here.